Now we want you to share with us our latest and greatest dream. A place of hopes and dreams, facts and fancy, all in one. That's it, right here. Disneyland.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Way of Magic podcast. I'm Steve, and over there is Armando, and we're back to talk about Disneyland and Disney. And there was a big anniversary, which we're going to get to a little bit later. But in the meantime, Armando, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. We were off last week because nothing happened. Nothing happened
No,
last week.
yeah,
You know,
nothing happened. Nothing happened, and yeah, so
they don't
that's what
like giving us
happens.
anything. Yeah, they
Exactly.
don't like giving
Yeah,
us anything.
I mean, we could have come on and just stared at each other for about 30 minutes to an hour, and
Yeah,
but
what are giving?
yeah, we
Yeah,
thought.
yeah,
But this
yeah,
week we did have a little bit of some news. Um,
yeah.
a news that we got, I think it was last week that they announced it, but we didn't get
It's
to talk
October
about it.
4th. Yeah,
Okay, so a little bit back, but the second season of Behind the Attractions is coming back, or they're releasing it
that's
November 1st.
yeah. If you've watched the previous podcast, you would know that almost every single episode we talked about this. At least I did, in some way, shape, or form. Because this is quite literally my favorite like original thing that they've put on Disney Plus. I really enjoy looking at. Um, really enjoy like looking at behind the scenes stuff. Like that's just something that I think is so interesting. That you can go behind these, famous beloved attractions and just kind of learn how they work, learn how they operate, and learn kind of the backstories of how these kind of concepts came to be. The second season is going to include Pirates of the Caribbean, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Indiana Jones, Epcot, the food for some reason. I That's not an attraction. I don't know. And then nighttime spectaculars, which I'm very, very,
Oh yeah,
very excited to see because Fantasmic is mentioned in that. So I'm very excited to see what that's
it's
going to
gonna
be.
be it's gonna be 25 minutes of Phantasmic, 5 minutes of everything else, probably.
I really hope so because
Um,
that it really is a technological innovation that Fantasmic did have with that dragon, and I think that'll be so cool. But there's they mention for the nighttime spectaculars, Main Street Electrical Parade, Phantasmic, World Color, um, uh, there's been new Momentous at Hong Kong,
oh,
Illuminate, Shanghai, tons of stuff.
yeah.
I'm really excited for this, and the best part is all episodes drop November 1st, so
Which is good.
which
A
is
lot.
good. You're gonna get those 6 episodes November 1st. I was curious though because they had 12 episodes in the first season. 6 episodes were released, and then I believe is probably I want to say like, it was either a couple weeks later or like about a
Hmm.
month later or so. Um,
Yeah,
they released six more. So I don't know if the article doesn't mention anything about that. It just simply states um, all new 6 episodes. So I mean, regardless, I'm happy with what we're getting because I absolutely just love this kind of thing, and so be prepared for me to talk about this for who knows however long, because I'm very excited, and it's three attractions that I enjoy. Four, I guess technically, if you want to, four attractions really really enjoy, which is Pirates, Big Thunder, Indiana Jones, and Fantasmic. It possibly one of the best nighttime spectaculars in my opinion,
it's
besides Wondrous.
yeah. With
So
I mean, with Phantasmic, I mean that was a game changer. I mean, up
yeah,
to that point, fireworks shows were not they weren't narratives. Like they were just like here's some fireworks and some
yeah,
music. This was a show with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it had fireworks, it had fountains, it had floats, it had music. I mean, it just was
pyrotechnics.
yeah, it just had everything that you would want from a show. And then they put it in the rivers of America. They're like, let's just put it over there. I mean, that's just the wild, and also too at the same time, I think at that time, because it what premiered '93, so you had yeah, so they had electrical at one point they had Phantasmic, fireworks, and the Main Street Electrical Parade all at one time,
Yeah,
and you're like, that's wild to me. So I'm excited about that one. I'm actually surprised that they're lumping all that into one
yeah,
episode.
yeah.
So I mean, I can because I mean, Electrical Parade's 50 something years old. I mean, that's a huge history on its own. And then fireworks are so quintessential. So there's a bunch of those. I mean,
Yeah.
Happily Ever After is so beloved at Disney
I
World,
mean,
and
if that's
the
not like an hour and a half long episode, then it's
see,
like
that's what I'm hoping because
me
you're
too.
talking
Yeah.
about all of these episodes are, I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean is a huge development history, and it's in pretty much every park except for Hong Kong. Epcot's a huge park with a big history. All of these things have a lot of history to them. I
Yeah.
can't imagine they're going to try and fit them in, and I think because they only did six, that they may make them a little bit longer.
I'm really hoping
I
so
hope so.
because I mean, at Indiana Jones, there's so much on that I mean, you can watch YouTube videos about that, and you know, there's like 40-minute long, like different YouTube videos just on the histories of it, and
Yeah.
the amount of I guess effects that the ride was supposed to have that just didn't work, which I'm pretty sure they'll talk about. But I mean, I mean that's like that was one of the most I think to Indiana Jones was one of the most like at the time one of the most like convoluted attractions
Yeah.
that they built. It was like the most
It,
like
two,
technological thing. Yeah,
$200 million to build that
yeah, and
in
it didn't
in
work.
1985, and it doesn't work.
And it
By the
didn't work.
way, permission to go on a tangent here. I
Granted,
was in the
always,
I was
always.
in the parks, so I've been telling you this. You were able to go on it when it first reopened from
Yes.
and you got to see it was amazing, wonderful. Everyone I know went there when it was brand new and from the refurbishment. I said, you know what? I can't ever make it out there, and I know by the time I do, it's going to be broken down and crappy again. Sure enough, this past weekend I was in the parks and I go over there. It's the last ride of the night. I wait the hour and a half or whatever. I make it to it, and the last scene, the boulder doesn't move.
Ah.
And it was totally dark. No show lights were
Uh,
on at all. And everyone in the car had fun because they didn't know what they were missing.
yeah.
But I was all like, no, 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 no. And then there was a woman in front of me who had like this huge hat on, and I couldn't see the darn new projections. So I was
Ah.
like, oh, what a bust. And I just knew. I knew it was
That
gonna happen.
Dude, and I've been on that thing several times since, and each time it is it is so nice to see everything working. It is so nice to see everything
Maybe I
working.
need to go with you because you seem to have the luck of this.
I oh my gosh, dude, it's so good. It's so good. It's a rough ride experience that you enjoy, and to see everything work. I mean, it's such a treat, and I'm so excited
It is.
to see that episode. So
Yeah. Cool, because I mean the history of it is just so. I mean, it goes
yeah,
all the way back to Disneyland Paris, and then they were like, "We're gonna make the Jungle Cruise the queue." Basically, you would get on the boat and take the boat to the thing, and they were gonna have the minecart ride running through it, and
and I'm sure they'll talk about that as well because
I
they
hope so.
mentioned the Indiana Jones ride at Tokyo Disney Sea. So in the article, so I'm sure they'll talk about that. I'm sure they'll talk about you know
Yeah.
Florida's
Which
like stunt show. Hopefully,
oh yeah, because they always do that if because like in the case of Tower of Terror, they talk about Tower of Terror
yeah,
in that episode, but then they also talk about Guardians of the Galaxy because
yeah,
it's
because it ended
that
up
same kind of
changing
ride
to
system.
yeah.
Yeah.
So same thing with Star Tours. I talked about Star Tours. I talked about Rise
Mhm.
because it ended up getting about Galaxy's Edge, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very excited for this season, and
Him too.
I will be definitely watching November 1st. I don't think I'm gonna watch all of them at once though. I say that now, I probably
Oh.
will,
Yeah, I
but
know. I was ready to say don't nobody call Armando on November 1st. He's
like I think I'm gonna be very excited. I plan on buying some Legos. Um, later on, there's a Walt Disney camera uh, that just came out. Well, it came out I think about a month ago or so, um, and it's a 100 years camera. It has like the old like camera that they did for the animated movies. There's like a little replica version of that. I'm probably gonna build that, put this on, and um,
oh
ah
man,
man,
that is
I'm
that
excited,
is
dude.
perfect right there.
I'm
I am
excited.
too, honestly. This is so good. I mean, the Epcot one, that's gonna be awesome for me. I love that. And I mean, we can skip over the food one, I think. I don't know.
I mean, I'll
That
watch it because
you watch it.
it's content. You always got it. But
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm just
Do the
yeah
dishes while that's on in the
disappointed. I don't
background.
know why that's why that. I mean, I guess yes, the churros, turkey legs, Dole Whip, obviously as iconic parts of Disneyland, food wise. But I mean, like it's behind the attraction, man, not behind the freaking
Right.
food,
I
not
know.
behind the
I know.
pleasantries.
What would be? I mean, what would be the one? So let's say you're in charge of the producing these. You're
Mhm.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson, and you get to say, "All right, let's scratch the food one. What's the attraction you put in its place?"
Oh, that's good. That's good. Let's see. What would be honestly, I'd say it's probably a controversial topic that everybody would probably not agree upon, but I think the history of it is just enthralling with it being a refurbishment as well. Let's do Splash Mountain. I think Splash Mountain
Mm,
would be a ton of fun
yeah.
to kind of see that history there, kind of see the the thinking of of just the concept of the ride. I think it'd be really neat. I think it'd be really neat to see that, or even I know it's still too new, and I don't think they do it, but I mean Rise would be cool to kind of see
That would
that
be cool.
because they only talked about it slightly a little bit in the Star Tours one. They
Right.
didn't really actually like go into depth about it.
And it
Um,
felt like a press. It felt like a press
yeah,
junket kind of thing, where it
yeah,
was very glossy and stuff.
it wasn't anything like that. Autopia I think would be cool. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a ton of stuff you could do. Hell, I'd actually like to see an Innoventions one. I think if we're gonna do
Oh,
something,
really?
let's do an Innoventions episode. Yeah, let's see that.
Start a Communicore, go on to
Let's
Innoventions, and
let's
move it over to Disney. I
let's do all that.
If you bring me Nathan Lane as Tom Morrow, I am all on board.
Dude, I'd go all out for that. Are you kidding me? Oh man.
I could see that one. I mean, Tomorrowland would be a great. I mean, just I know they probably don't want to do the whole land thing, but I
Yeah,
mean, you
that'd
could
be cool.
tack that on. Yeah, I was thinking either Matterhorn, because I think that has a
That'd be
great
good.
history, and then
That'd
it
be a good one.
translated into Expedition Everest at Florida,
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
or I would, or I know you're not gonna like it, but Submarine Voyage.
Nah, see, no, we don't need that. We don't need that. That's I don't.
But look, hear me out though. They built it there at Disneyland. Then they built one in Disney World, and then it went to Tokyo as like a dark ride. Uh,
I don't think we need it. I don't think we need it. Give
you know,
me, if you want to give me something, give me well, give me cars. Give me
there we
Radiator
go.
Spring Racers. That'd be cool. You know, I think that'd be really
Test
cool to
track.
test
Just go all
track.
the way.
Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Yeah.
Um, Alien, Alien Extraction. That'd be
Oh.
cool. That'd be really cool.
Oh the
Um,
oh oh the one in Disney World. The
yeah, the scary one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that'd
I could
be
see that one.
that'd be really
How?
cool.
Yeah. There's some good videos. So many people
I
have
think I
posted good
think you can.
videos
I'm
of
sure
that.
they have archival footage of that stuff. I'm sure they have like
Yeah.
obviously
Just
like 480p, but like good
yeah.
480p of that entire experience. I'm sure.
You
So
just put in the lower ratio, put in that little box that they always put in.
yeah, right.
I
So
don't know.
man,
Just don't ask any questions when they talk about who they picked to play Chairman Clinch. Don't ask any questions. You don't need to hear about any of that.
I I'd like to see a lot of that stuff, and I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But
I hope with Big Thunder they mentioned Discovery Bay, the whole expansion that they were going to put at Disneyland
yeah,
behind there. I hope because that those are all connected. Tony Baxter does a. There was an interview he did with a former Imagineer. His name is Joe. Oh, I can't remember his last name. Starts with an L, but he does a podcast, and they had like a 2 hour long interview with Tony Baxter, and he explained the ideas behind Splash Mountain because he asked him, he's all like, "Did you know this was controversial? Because this is like the '80s. You were pitching this idea." And then he also mentions Discovery Bay, but those were interesting.
that'd be really cool. I'm curious to see what they're gonna talk about. Pirates of the Caribbean. It's gonna be so good. Um,
Yeah, they got to
eh,
talk about the movies.
definitely it's yeah, and I think that's the first episode, and if the way the article has laid them out, it's gonna be Pirates, Big Thunder, Indiana Jones, Epcot, the food, and Nighttime Spectaculars. Obviously you gotta go Nighttime Spectaculars last. That makes sense, but um,
I hope they don't. I hope they don't put too much time towards the Shanghai Disneyland, Pirates of the Caribbean. Because I mean, when you think of Pirates of the Caribbean, that's not necessarily one you think of. It's a little too new. I think people will be more
well, it
interested
does
in
say
the.
including the cutting edge reimagining at Shanghai Disneyland. So,
All
um,
right. Well,
yeah,
that can be a blurb at like the last.
but it's
Because
so cool though.
it is cool, but it's a lot of projections. I hate to be that guy, but
But it's so cool.
yeah,
It's
I know.
they have the best Pirates of the Caribbean, man. I can't deny that. I can't deny that
Mm,
they have the best Pirates of the Caribbean. You got Davy Jones, dude. You got a
they do have
ship.
David Jones.
You have a ship battle like that happens like right now. It's so cool, man.
Yeah, I will.
I'd love to
I
go to
will throw
Shanghai.
my hat in though for Disneyland Paris's because when you do, they have it where the first drop leads right into the battle,
Hmm.
the Wicked Winch battle
That's
ship
cool.
scene. I think that one's cool,
That is pretty cool.
but I don't know.
Well, clearly, as you
Anyway,
can tell, we really enjoy this series because we've already talked about this for 14 minutes, and it's literally just an announcement of season 2. There's literally nothing else to go about on this, and we've somehow talked about this for 14 minutes. So we're gonna move on because we'll
it's
keep talking
important.
about this. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. Well, you want to tell us what the next topic is, Steve?
Yeah, so they just announced a couple of days back, they announced, I guess a week ago, the Parkside Market at the downtown Disney district over here at Disneyland.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to be bringing, this is the little area that they're building right now
Right, it's right
by,
next to the Lego store for anybody that's familiar. If you go to
yeah,
it's right next to the Lego store and the monorail, get on point or get off point, depending on how you're looking at it. That it's gonna be right next to honestly Disneyland Hotel as well, the entrance to Disneyland
yeah,
Hotel kind of.
yeah. So this is going to be in that area that was the theater,
AMC,
the AMC
yeah,
theater, yeah. Um, and then the Starbucks, which was the better Starbucks of the two, but whatever. It's in the past. But anyway, so Parkside Market is going to have 4 new dining options. So there's going to be Soul Sister, which is going to be a fast casual modern eatery with
okay,
Korean inspired menu with a California twist.
interesting.
And in this picture, the California twist is an avocado. It's what it looked like. But it looks really good. Sip and Sonder is going to be let's see, it's a second location to a cafe in Los Angeles.
Okay,
So it's going to have Caribbean inspired dishes, signature lattes. So I'm all down for that.
more
Um,
coffee, awesome.
exactly. Yeah, I know that's not Starbucks or Joffrey. It's something a
Yeah,
little different.
yeah.
Um, then there's going to be Gigi Chicken Shop, Gigi's Chicken Shop, which is going to be
Raising Cane's is better.
I don't know. This guy's got a Michelin star. I mean, but it's gonna have chicken sandwiches, salads, classic dinner table side. So I'm probably
Oh, so it's gonna be like.
artisanal mac and cheese and coleslaw kind of thing.
Well,
I'm
if we're talking
thinking.
mac and cheese, I'll take a look. I won't judge the
Yeah.
guy too harshly yet, but
I don't know. I mean, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. Storytellers Cafe, like the ubiquitous Disneyland mac and cheese, you can't go wrong with that. But we'll see what he
Velveeta's
can
all
do.
right, I guess. But like, come on, you
Oh
know.
man, you are offending so many people right now.
Yeah.
And then at the moment, I believe it's an unnamed bar that they're going to have
Awesome. Yeah, we
as
love the
well.
drink. We love the drink.
Yeah.
Um,
So this is going to have cocktails, mocktails, espresso martinis, frozen
whoa,
lemonades.
espresso martinis.
Yeah, just to really just make you jittery in line. All
I don't know if
it's
that's that's probably a thing. I don't drink that much. We were joking. I was joking when I said we love drinking. I don't drink that much, so I don't know if that's a thing or not. If that is, I'll try it because that sounds interesting.
yeah,
But
it's like a
espresso
downer and a upper
martinis.
all at once. I don't know what
Yeah,
that.
that's probably gonna be like a. I get that. I'm not driving. I don't think I'm gonna drive for that 'cause that sounds a little.
You're going to want to drive though because you're going to be so pumped. But yeah, no, it's yeah. So that's interesting. Well, it's kind of I don't know if it's like at Disney World they have the Mustang coffee, which is
Mhm.
like I forgot what it's mixed with, but it's basically black coffee mixed with something. But um,
Ooh,
so anyways, that's going to be over there. And then as kind of part of this announcement, they mentioned that they were going to they have this new tower, this new sculptural spire thing that they have that's designed by a guy named Nicholas Smith, and it's designed to kind of be in that mid-century modern style,
hmm,
and it's designed to pay tribute to the works of pioneering architects of color from Southern California, so like Paul
interesting.
Williams and other architects of that era. So
That's cool.
that's a cool, yeah. They started installing it yesterday, so it looks pretty cool.
Oh,
It's gonna
interesting.
be yeah, so it's gonna be like right behind the bandstand where they're
Okay,
building that,
nice.
and then yeah, so then Portos is gonna be a part of that. It's gonna be in the back, as far as we know.
Yeah.
And,
And all of this is coming in 2024, by the way, guys.
yeah, yeah. So 2024, just in time for when you can't afford it because they raised prices again, which we didn't mention that, but that they
We did not mention that. That
raised.
is correct. Yes,
Yeah,
you're right. They did raise annual price passes by some of them 50, some of them to even I think it's 100, 150. I think was
it
the
was
max, right?
yeah, yeah. Because since the pass that I have, the Inspire went up
Yeah.
to ridiculous.
Which yeah, they're really they're making it hard, man. They're making it hard to be a
I
fan
know
sometimes. They really
it's
do. Like Man, I mean, I pay for the lowest one. So for me, it's not. I mean, I mean, it is because
But
living in California is hard enough as it is. But
yeah,
yeah, you kind of have to, yeah. It's they make it really hard, but they also raised ticket prices as well, not just the annual pass. Well, they raised ticket
yeah.
prices.
Which okay, so look at the optics of this. So they announced that the discounted kids ticket, and then 2 weeks later, when said we're raising ticket prices. So it's like they got all this goodwill of like, oh, look at this, they're actually going to have these discounts and stuff like that, and then raised prices, which
What,
totally negated that whole discount that they
Bob?
did. Because
What are we doing, bro? What are we doing, Bob?
I know you just brought up a good point because he said in one of his interviews that he's like, it's just too expensive in the parks, and we need to focus on that. And well, it's all, it's all, it's all doo doo.
What, Bob? What are we doing, man? I gotta get Bob on the phone. We gotta find someone to connect us because this is ridiculous, dude. Like
I
I'm
don't know.
you. I just don't understand. Yeah, I if you lower prices, you get more people to come in. I
Right.
understand there's going to be people that you probably there's always going to be a demographic that Disney's not going to want in the uh, in the parks, and that's just because it's family park. Not everybody that goes there has the intentions of doing family friendly stuff. Um,
Wow. Oh, because
there's
of the alcohol and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's always there's fights in Disneyland that happen.
Oh yeah,
Not a
that was another
lot.
one.
That was another that happened recently. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
Fantasyland.
it doesn't happen too often, but when it does, it becomes a big thing because it's Disneyland. It never happens. Um, well, I mean it does, but it's like so I mean there's like I understand. I think there's reasons like that too is why they try to raise the prices, but at the same time, if you gotta pick and choose. If you
Right.
want to make your money, raise either the merchandise, lower the tickets, raise the merchandise.
Which used to be that used to be
Yeah,
their MO. I mean, it was always easy to get in,
yeah,
affordable to get in, and then everything else was expensive. Which is kind of how a lot of other theme park operators do it. I mean, Knott's
yeah.
Berry Farm,
That
they get
makes
you on the food and
you
stuff.
you. I mean, yeah, you have a food festival for the Boysenberry Festival for Knott's Berry Farm. Like There's other ways to make money, and it's Disneyland. It's you're gonna make your money,
Right.
like
And it
regardless or not. Like,
yeah, and it's reaching that point where it's like, and I understand we're having the conversation everyone is having, and yet if you told me today, like, do you still want to go to the parks? You're like, yeah, I'll renew.
of course, obviously, but
Yeah,
that's because
it's just because
it's a
it's
different thing. Yeah, that's completely different. Like, it's not fair that they're also using that as a like, well, they're gonna go anyway, so
right.
we'll raise
I
it.
yeah, it's just one of those things where if because they always said the reason why they're raising ticket prices was because they didn't want the crowds. But then we have the reservation
Yeah,
system, which makes it where you can't have the crowds, including being an annual pass holder like we are,
yeah.
where you can show up and be like, oh wait, there's nothing available today.
And you're
Oh,
also,
okay.
I mean, not everybody's gonna buy the Inspire key. I mean, a large portion of people have it, but um, if you're looking at like logistics, I'm sure a large portion of that is going to be the enchant key. I imagine most people have the enchant key,
I
um,
would think so.
because that's the if you're not living in Southern California, that's not the cheapest.
Right.
So it's only the Imagine key if you're living in Southern California is the cheapest. But if you don't live in Southern California, then that is not the you can't get that pass.
Mhm.
So the Enchant key is the cheapest for everybody. And I'm sure a large portion of these people have it, but even then, like December's fully blocked out. I can't go in any time in December. I can go in
Which,
January, like half of January, but I
but
can't
then
go in
you don't
December.
get it. No
Yeah,
holidays, no. And then you can ask yourself too. You're like, well, is that worth it? I mean, because even in the olden days,
yeah,
you used to be able to get at least a Tuesday. You were, you weren't blocked on a Tuesday, so that was the day
and it's
you.
yeah,
So
you
yeah,
don't
it.
yeah.
You know what's here's another thing too. They're not even selling passes right
No,
now,
they're not. There's a
so they're
frozen. It's
raising
only for renew.
prices. Right. So if you were going to renew, now you're kind of screwed because you're
Yeah,
like, well, and that was my fear too because I was like, I got to renew because they're not gonna sell them again, and
hmm
I'm gonna be locked out for. And so
and
even though I
I
wasn't really in the boat to go and renew, I wasn't
yeah,
really. I was like, I got to even though.
and that's the thing too. I was gonna when the passes became available to buy again, I was gonna upgrade my pass, but I'm not gonna do it now. There's no point. Like it's
Right.
ridiculous, man. Like it's you're punishing people that love your park, you know?
Well, you put that's the right way to say it, I
Yeah,
think.
because
You're
it's true. You're punishing people that love your park. You're punishing, you know, like you're why are you gonna raise something that's gonna make you the most money? The parks annually make the most money for that company,
and
because there's so many parks.
yeah. And you know what's so confusing about it too is that they've clearly made a decision that the annual pass holders are the people that they're going to cater to. They're, with the things like Avengers Campus, with the characters coming in for like a couple of weeks, the food offerings, the booths, all these things, these are not geared towards the family in Denver. These are geared towards people who on a Friday night are like, what do you want to go to the park? Sure. I hear they got a new Loki character there. Well, let's go check it out, grab a beer,
Yeah,
ride a
and
couple of
it's
rides, and that. So I'm confused.
yeah, no,
So many
it
mixed
really makes no
signals.
sense. It makes no sense, and you're just kind of sitting there like, well, why? What do I gain? Like, why should I renew then if you're gonna basically say, hey, we're raising your prices so that way we make more money and you guys get half-assed crap because that's
Right.
what's happening right now. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Well, that
it's
being, yeah,
it's
and the weird
ridiculous.
thing is, it's hard to make that argument because then the next day when they raised Genie Plus to $30,
Yeah,
it was sold out by noon. So you couldn't
and
even. And so you say to yourself, well, geez, what's going on there?
it's ridiculous. It really is, and I know we sit here and we criticize, and obviously yes, we're still gonna buy the product. We're still gonna consume. Obviously, that's just we like Disney though. We like that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that makes us be that's so that I guess, but like at the end of the day, like it's still hurting your brand. At the end of the day, you're increasing something that is making you money, and
Yeah.
it's not. I understand it's a business. I understand they got to make their money. Right? If we're gonna play that, yeah. Obviously, I know that, but you can lower prices and still make your money in other venues, you know,
Right.
and that's like everybody's like they make enough money from it, but you got to remember the parks make money from the parks. They're
Right.
putting the money from the parks. A portion of that's obviously going to the company, but the main majority of the money that's being made in the parks goes back into the parks.
Right.
Um, so they can't take from other avenues like the move like Marvel, all that stuff. You can't take that money and allocate it somewhere else. At least I'm like 99% sure you can't do that.
Oh, why would, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
and why would they do that? I mean,
yeah, obviously, right? So the parks obviously pay for the parks, and and every single portion, movies, all that stuff goes to the company. That company makes money, but a majority of the money that Disney probably makes is, I'm assuming, and this is not 100% factual, but I'm assuming it is, is the parks. You make so much money from because so many people, especially Walt Disney World. Walt Disney World makes them so much money
yeah.
because I think it was reported like what millions like per year um go to that park like
Yeah. It's the
every year.
most visited. I mean, that part, Magic Kingdom gets more traffic than some cities do. Like
Yeah,
some major cities get. I mean, it's incredible. I think though the fact that Disney World has become the workhorse of the entire brand
yeah,
has kind of diluted it a little bit because you kind of have to. It's kind of middle of the road. Disneyland can kind of still be like the locals park kind of bit, and they kind of Disney World. It's like we are catering to tourists,
yeah,
and they've made that,
yeah,
and that's kind of been a detriment to it. But um, yeah, it's wild. I don't understand it, especially when the narrative is nothing but it's too expensive.
yeah,
This is a rare. This company is such a rare thing to be like we're actively trying to get people to not like us,
yeah, yeah.
and push as many people away as possible.
I know everybody
But
was singing Bob Iger's praise when he came back, and to that extent we were as well, yes, and we still think that
yeah,
he
we
is better than Bob Trebek 100%. But
yeah,
you when you come back and you do stuff like this that doesn't really help the brand's image, that doesn't really help Disney's image. You're the strikes for one, which we never ever talked about, but the strikes, he's part of that problem too. He is the CEO of
he's
Disney Company.
oh, and he was putting his foot in it all the
Yeah,
time.
all the time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
with this, and now you're raising prices upon your parks.
after you said you were going to lower the prices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after you say we care about the fan more than anything, it doesn't show currently, and I know that we're all gonna forget about this later. They're gonna announce stuff that's gonna make people say it. Oh, we love Disney so much, and it's true, we do, and I 100%, and literally probably about 20 minutes from now, we're gonna switch tones and be completely
I
praising
know,
Disney,
I know.
but
You
um,
want to see hot and cold.
but it's I mean it's just there's a give and take, and I think you can be subjective and objective about things, and I think that's what we're doing now is because we love this product, we love this company, we love what Disney is. So yeah, I mean when you change things and you give us things that is not going to be what you get, I guess what you said you were going to do, which and then b you kind of just half-ass kind of your crap really. It's like I why am I gonna want to pay for something that is more priced that I'm not getting any more like benefits out of this. You're not if they said we're raising the prices because we're going to put more effort into the parks, we're using that extra money that we're getting and we're going to make something amazing for you guys, which I'm sure, yes, they're probably doing that, whatever. But if you were transparent and said this is the reason why we're praising it, it's not because other reasons. If this is the reason why we're doing it, then that's fine. I'm sure people would be like, okay, people would still be mad, but people would probably be like, okay, that's fine. We're gonna get something in about a year or so that's gonna make it worth
Right. We understand they have to raise prices. Cars Line's very expensive, something like
it.
that.
Exactly, right? And it's so like that. Then that makes sense. But if you're just gonna raise prices at a random afternoon and be like, oh, by the way, annual pass holders, ticket prices, they're shooting up. All right, bye.
Yeah. You can't buy them,
No,
but if you want to renew, you're screwed.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of dumb, and they've already said that the if you renewed already, that's not going to affect you. It'll affect you next when you renew next year. But it's ridiculous, man. It's so ridiculous, and I just don't understand. I mean, again, this is the reason why we're not running a business, right? I'm sure there's a whole reason for this, but I just it's frustrating. It is.
It is. Yeah. It is. And I get that point of where it's like if we saw that there was something changing
Mhm.
that made us go and say, okay, now we understand why you got to raise the prices. But when this is just your annual thing that you do, it
Yeah.
kind of takes away from
Yeah.
it. But I guess they got to, I don't know. I mean, maybe inflation is a thing. I don't know. But it is something that they do every year. And then
Yeah.
they always kind of, and everyone always acts surprised that it happened. This one was kind of surprising because usually they do it, I want to say in like the spring or something,
Yeah, it's
or around
well, I
August or
think they
something.
were because they also did already raise the prices already, I believe.
For which one?
It's just for the regular ticket prices.
Oh,
I believe
yeah,
they did
yeah,
they
they
did
did.
raise it. I mean, so
Yeah,
it's like for you to kind of double down and be like, oh, we're doing it again.
yeah.
Alright,
I,
whatever.
I feel bad because I have some family that are coming into town and are going next month to Disneyland, and they were like, okay, we're gonna pick this day. They have three kids, three young kids, all over 9, but not
Yeah,
not really adults yet. So they're paying 5 regular adult tickets to Disney, and they were just like they were so set on that price, and I know now they're like, oh crap, but it is what it is. And
so that's that's
that's that.
that's that's us going off on a tangent. Mainly me
I,
being a little heated more than
hey,
I should be probably.
no,
But
that's no, that is all justified. But changing gears a little bit, I know we didn't talk about this earlier, but I forgot about this. Did you see this about the new BD droids that came
oh yes,
to
the ones that
Galaxy's
yes,
Edge?
you're right. Ah man, I got so
That's why they raised the prices. Those are expensive, don't you
that's
know?
those four animatronics
It
that are
was
gonna get
3, yeah.
kicked around by people. I'm sure there's always gonna be a cast member with it, like wandering in them, but yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's originally what Galaxy's Edge was supposed to be.
Hmm.
What it was originally meant to be was there's supposed to be droids and creatures and
Aliens,
people
yeah.
walking around to make it seem more lively. And obviously, like you just know, that was never gonna happen. They budget,
Yeah.
all that stuff. They said we're not. I think COVID had a part to play in it, but I'm sure
No,
it
well,
was.
they may blame it on COVID, but it
Well,
was
that's what
it
I'm.
was
It was
we
100% budget. They just didn't want
Yeah.
to spend the extra money for it. But
Because there was a whole almost a year, I mean,
yeah,
6 months where they were like, "Oh no, no, no." Chapek came out and said, "Cast members are are the story. They're the characters." And you're like, "No, they're working
yeah,
a job.
yeah.
They're processing your payments. They're
And
not."
it's yeah, there was like a whole thing. They and literally last minute Disney was like, "Oh, we're not doing this anymore. You guys cancel everything."
Yeah,
No.
I
So
know. Yeah, because remember when they did it was like 2016, 2017, probably, that they did the Jake animatronic that was
yeah,
kind of like a, yeah, and then they had the kid that like was eating ice cream. Did you see that video? And she like had her foot on
yeah,
on the robot, wouldn't let it move. And
yeah.
then there was one kid trying to crawl on it, and you're just
So
like, oh
I
no,
mean,
this is
but
why we can't have nice things, because
yeah.
Bethany's kids gotta go. And
And that's the thing too, guys. Like if you're gonna go to the park because you paid that much money, you don't let your kids do that. That's not. It's not their property. It's you cannot.
you know,
Don't be that parent that's like, well, I paid a lot of money to come here, and I want
right,
my kids to do whatever they want. No, don't do that. It's for one, your kid could get seriously hurt,
true. It is still a robot that could.
right? And two, it's not your property.
It's not your part yet. Somebody worked really hard. That mechanics of that robot is a lot, and the fact that you're disrespecting it by just putting your foot on it is kind of laughable. Permission to go on another tangent. This one won't be as long though.
That's
But
fine.
you were talking about being like respectful and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was at I was at the parks the other day,
Hmm.
and we were watching the fireworks, and we were up on top of the train station, and they have like the little space that they've cordoned off for the VIP
Yeah.
groups, and there's like a little V shape of the ropes. The stanchions go up in like a little V, and then they terminate right before the entrance to the train station. And there were a bunch of people. We were on the other side of the ropes, closest to the left side, which was closed off. That area was, you couldn't access it from the stairs. Um, and then there were a bunch of people at the railing right at the that V shape blocking the entrance to the train station. And the cast members came up and said like, "Hey, you can't stand there. You're in the way." Halfway through the show, they tell everybody on the platform, including where we were in our little group that had kind of
Yeah.
congregated over there, told everyone to move out of the platform area. And this one woman didn't want to listen. And she stood right there. And the cast member was all like, "You're not supposed to stand there. It was like 10 minutes after, so she thought she could get in the clear or something."
Yeah.
So she does that again. And then the woman has an absolute tantrum. She has a total fit. And she's yelling at the cast member. And the cast member is one of the tour guides. Is yelling back at her saying, "Talk to security, talk to security." And then, I mean, it just was like this whole thing. And you're kind of sitting there and you're like, what is going on? Like, why are you acting like this? This guest is just like, why is she acting like that?
Yeah.
Just stand where everyone else is. But it was one of those things where you're like, I get it. You paid, everyone paid.
Yeah. You
You
know.
just play by the rules and you'll have a much easier day. Because like I was like, we can't stand right in front of the entrance. It's just you just can't do it. And people they knew they couldn't do that, and they still were just like, oh, I'll stand there.
Yeah. I don't really know why people do that. I just think it's if you just go there with the intention of following the rules and you know not making a big scene about anything,
Yeah.
you'll
You
have a
just have a
great
better
day.
time.
But
Yeah. If you just go, it's like, and I see this a lot of times when like they're doing crowd control and stuff, and you have people directing traffic, and sometimes it's not where you want to go. It's not the
yeah,
most direct way to for the
obviously.
way. If you want to go to Coke's Corner and you're getting directed around into the hub, just go through the hub. Just go through the hub. If not,
Hmm.
just sit and wait until all of that dies down. But yeah, no, she was just being a real jerk and was yelling at the cast member, and the cast member's just trying to do her darn job. But and then I felt bad for the people who were in the VIP section who had to hear their tour guide yelling at the ruffian behind them, and you're like, we're just trying to watch the show here, and but yeah. Anyway, when you mentioned respect, and
No,
just because you paid doesn't mean
100%. You don't get to act like a fool.
you know,
I look, man. I don't know. Yeah,
that's why every time I see every time someone I'm with goes in like, oh, hey, let's go stand in the mosh pit to go watch the fireworks. I'm like, nope, no. I'll stand over Rivers of America. I'll go somewhere in the back or something. I don't want to be in that. I don't want to hear the pushing and shoving. I don't want to hear the people yelling that the kids are on the shoulders of the iPad or the flashlight.
Yeah.
I just have a better time when I'm in the back. I'm, you know, I don't, this what I'm saying is I don't like guests. The worst part of the Disney experience are the
People can be
entitled guests.
obnoxious. Yeah, it's not a fun time for anybody when that happens.
No.
And
No, yeah. And then it makes you upset because you're like, why are you acting like this? We're just trying to
yeah,
have fun. At the end of the day, you're in a theme park. I mean, anybody watching the news nowadays, it's like you should be very happy that that's the least of your problems.
yeah,
Is that the cast member told you to move out the
yeah.
doorway?
It's really not that like it's not that serious.
It's not. It's not. If you want to watch it better, the full fireworks with all the stuff, go watch it on YouTube.
Yeah,
Sometimes you just gotta be in the moment and enjoy it. But that's my tangent. So
people. But
people are idiots, man.
I think that's everything that we want to talk about. Correct?
Yeah,
The
yeah, I
other.
think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So now we're gonna shift to what the actual topic of this podcast is. 40 minutes later. Uh, um,
And you were
it's
worried that we didn't have anything to talk about.
we always do, I guess. So.
Yeah.
Um, it was recently. It was yesterday.
hmm
Sunday. Sunday.
No, it's just
Was it yesterday?
wasn't it? Yeah, yeah. The
Oh, the
official
official
day.
one?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. Yes. Yesterday was the 100 years of Disney animation. So they had a really nice short lined up for that on Sunday, which was very cool. It was a Once Upon a Studio. It was only 8 minutes long. It wasn't anything too long. But it was really cool. You got to see a bunch of every single I think animation, that like movie and such that came out.
Pretty much every major character,
Yeah.
including there was a in 1989 they did the Disney MGM Studios backlot tour,
Hmm.
and Robin Williams with Walter Cronkite hosted a little section of that. And one of his they turned him into a cartoon character in the little video clips that they show in
Hmm.
the studio tour. And if you notice in that scene where the right before the genie comes out, when Olaf is there,
Yeah.
right behind him, they drew him in the show at Disney World. They drew him as a Lost Boy, so it was Robin Williams as a Lost Boy
Oh,
from
that's
Peter
cool.
Pan. And so right when Olaf is drawing on the drawing board in the back of the shot there
Hmm.
is his character from that thing,
That's
which
really
I thought
cool.
was a really neat callback. I mean, it's so obscure too,
Yeah, I
but
didn't know that. That was really cool.
yeah. And then yeah, sorry to derail
No,
what
no,
you were
you're
saying,
fine.
but
No,
I
you're cool. That's cool. I actually didn't know that. But yeah, there was a whole bunch of like stuff. They had the voice of Robin Williams, which was not AI or anything. They got the permission from the estate, and it was stuff taken, um, from previous works that was from previous takes that weren't used in Aladdin. They took that voice line from that. Bobby Driscoll, who was the original voice of Peter Pan. They credited him as his voice because it was him because
I thought so. Yeah.
they just took the clip they just took clips of Peter Pan and used that. I think they did that with a lot of people. Actually I think with the exception of a few people, um, like Mickey Mouse obviously and all that stuff. There's people that had different that do different voice actors. If they were that current voice actor, they got them. With the exception actually of Donald Duck. Donald Duck, it was the old voice actor.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
I thought they were going to do that with Mickey Mouse. I thought they would use
yeah, I
Wayne's
thought so
voice,
too,
or
but they didn't. It was actually the one from
is it
um
Irwin? What's his name?
no, it was the one from the new shorts.
Oh, okay.
It's I think it's Chris something. Chris,
Yeah. Okay.
it starts with D, and I apologize. It's a long name. We didn't look it up. I'm sorry. We're horrible people, horrible podcast hosts. But yeah, it was the voice of the new Mickey Mouse shorts. Um, so that was cool. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of like old. There was Kristen Bell, Josh Gad. I think
A, d- a,
Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
they all came back and did their
Um,
voices
yeah, I
that
want
was
to
pretty cool.
say, did oh, I forgot her name. Who was Belle? I think she was
Oh,
there.
no, that was I'm thinking of Ariel. Jodie Benson was there though. Jodie Benson was there
Yeah,
for
I was
Ariel.
gonna say. Yeah,
Um, I don't remember the voice. No, I don't know the
yeah.
voice, but
I
yeah,
don't know either.
that's I'm more.
I think her name's Paige or something.
I'm pretty sure she
Oh,
was there.
yeah.
And most people were there. There were some that talked to that didn't get credited for some reason. Like I don't think Flounder got credited on there, and I don't think Moana was credited on there. The voice of Moana, Alihi Carvalho, wasn't credited. I don't know if she actually did it. Um, but
Yeah, I think that was our. Yeah, I don't know. So
potentially. So um, but John C. O'Reilly was credited for Ralph.
yeah.
And there was like they brought them all back, which is pretty cool. And it was pretty cool to see like all the stuff. I actually don't know if Roger Rabbit was in there. Um,
Oh,
I actually did not.
I don't think he is.
I didn't see when they did this whole group
Yeah,
because there's
because
a at the end of the short there's a whole group photo that they take.
right, because the whole story is that they're going to get their group
Yeah,
photo, which is funny that they could make a short out of probably one of the least enjoyable part of a family gathering
right.
is getting everyone together for a photo. But yeah, I thought this was such a cool thing that I think it was Eric Goldberg, who's one of the kind of legacy animators who
Mhm.
still operates, who still hand draws everything, that he came up with this idea and a few people at the studio and had pretty much every single character. I mean, there were characters from uh, what was that? The Robinsons, Meet the Robinsons and
Meet the
stuff. I
Robinsons
mean,
was in there. Yeah,
yeah.
there's literally like a lot of Disney animation. That's why I'm like I don't know if Roger Rabbit was included in that.
Yeah, I think technically, I don't know, they had a problem with Roger Rabbit because it's like Zemeckis and Steven
Something like that.
Spielberg that
Yeah,
have it. So, because he used to be everywhere. I mean, he used to be
yeah, he
one of like
was.
the five, six, the Fab Six or whatever. He was a part of that for a long time, and then they kind of all threw that all away. But yeah,
But
this was
there's a lot
cool.
of people in there. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It was a really cool short. If you guys haven't checked it out, you guys should check it out. I think honestly, by the time this podcast goes up, I think it'll be off of Hulu by then.
it's
I'm
on Disney Plus though.
it
It
is on Disney Plus
it
then.
is.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
they've been
cool.
on.
Um,
Yeah, what this was the thing that got me was, I mean, I think everyone the Walt Disney part
yeah,
when
that was
Mickey, that
cool.
was, oh
That
dude,
was
I was
really
like,
cool.
come on, why are you doing this to me?
And then they
Um,
sing "When You Wish Upon a Star" at the end.
right.
That
And then
was really cool.
they had the archival voice of Jiminy Cricket
Yeah.
from the original film singing the last part,
Hmm.
which was that was really good. And then I want to say they credited him at the end, but the animator that was walking out the front door in the first part, I guess
Yeah.
spoiler if you, but who was walking out? I think is he the one that was he's like
um.
one of the oldest
Yeah.
serving.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. So
yes,
they he gets credited at the he gets credit on the credits, and I think at the actual end, there's like a end card that actually he gets credited for as well,
yeah,
on that. But yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. If you guys haven't
it
checked it out,
is.
you guys need to check it out because it's such an awesome short, and this is obviously something different than the 100 Years of Disney, which is the company. Um, this is just the animation, but they even had Oswald there in black and white.
Which I thought was a great. That was such a great little nod
Yeah,
where Mickey was like, "Oh, you go first." Because let's be honest. I mean, if you can talk about the history of the Disney company, Mickey comes in. He's yeah. It all started with him, but it really didn't. It started with
Oswald.
Alice,
Yeah,
and it started with Oswald. Those two had to get started first before
yeah.
Mickey came along.
Hmm.
I mean, you can't. The Alice comedies, which were the that was the deal that they signed in 1923, which was to make those shorts. I mean, those were
Yeah,
groundbreaking. I mean, the fact that you had a real person in a cartoon world at a time when the going thing was having the cartoon character in the real world,
yeah.
and Walt thought, well, no, I got to have a gimmick that switches that up and stuff, and that was, but yeah, that's it. Isn't that incredible? I mean, you think about how many
It's interesting.
companies have gone bust. How many companies make it nowadays
It's
to the
yeah.
100th
I
anniversary?
think Warner Brothers just recently celebrated theirs too as well,
Yeah,
right?
same year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this year. Yeah,
Um,
which same kind of legacy. I mean,
no,
just
100%. Yeah,
never.
that's not an easy feat to do. 100 years of any company, unless you're like a car manufacturer. It's like, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But even then, I mean, how many of
yeah,
those are still around? I
it's
mean,
true.
you don't see any Studebakers on the road or anything like
It's
that.
true. Yeah.
But I think what makes Disney different from Warner Brothers, Disney is still on its own. It's
Yeah.
still its own company. Warner Brothers has been bought and sold so many times. It's like, I mean, it's been on the market so
Well, we'll
it's
see,
there, but it's yeah,
because
that's true. We're saying that now.
supposedly, the whole Apple thing, which I still don't know if that's true or not. I
I you know
because I feel
the
like if anybody was gonna sell it, it was probably gonna be Chapek, to be honest.
yeah. Yeah, I can't see Bob Iger being the guy who would sell it.
Even though they said
His
that,
legacy.
even though I know they said his plan was to come back and get it ready for Apple. I don't think that's
No, I don't think that. I think with Chapek, yeah,
yeah
because Chapek had just lowered the brand so much that a place like Apple, which I mean, it was on. I mean, I think Forbes and Wall Street Journal. I mean, there was a lot of like
yeah
pretty reputable people talking about it. It was on CNBC and stuff where they actually were talking about a possible buyout. I mean, like people
and
said though, I don't know what would Apple want with half of the
well
stuff that Disney produces. I mean,
I
those
mean, that's
those
the thing.
parks
I
would be
think with the parks that would have they would. I don't think Apple would touch that. That would
no,
100% be
it would have
a.
been
It would have been
sold off.
on its own thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
that Disney would have
which
still had credit to that, obviously. But yeah, I don't think I don't think that's gonna happen. And if it does, it won't be anytime soon. I don't feel like. I feel like it probably won't be for like another.
it would have to be a real. I mean, Disney would have to be in the dumps. I
Yeah,
mean, really
yeah. I don't
bad.
think.
I don't think so. I
No.
didn't know that Coca-Cola tried to make a bid for Disney back in the early '80s. I didn't know that. I read that somewhere.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah,
That
there's
makes
a lot
sense, I
of,
guess.
and then Comcast wanted to buy them back in 2004, and then Michael Eisner said, "Uh-uh,"
Yeah.
and they were able to keep that. But I mean, that's a really big thing to keep your in this day and age to keep your independence,
Yeah.
um, which is kind of one of those things. I mean, a lot of times I think Disney, for all of Walt's life, was pretty small. I mean, Disneyland was a huge deal.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a huge weight on that company. That if Disneyland had failed,
Yeah.
it
That
would have been the
company
end of
was.
Disney.
Yeah.
And we think of Disney World now. It's like, oh, Disney World's Disney World. Disney World in 1971, that was a huge deal too. I mean, that was a make or break kind of thing. And you at the same time, you're like, as great as those days would have been to just have that small homespun kind of feel to it,
Yeah.
the fact that Disney is this big behemoth now keeps it alive.
And you gotta wonder
And we-
too, like where honestly, how different would this be? Like, and it's funny because you're like, well, it's a company, it wouldn't be that different. But no, like I honestly truly feel like that if we didn't have like a corporation like Disney, I think honestly the world would be pretty different. To be honest with you, you
Just
know,
like in the grand scheme of
yeah, in
things,
the
I mean,
grand scheme of things, yeah. Because I mean, like if you think about it, like yeah, like okay, you wouldn't have a theme park to go to, whatever. But there's a lot of things that Disney kind of like does and owns. Like I like Touchstone Pictures. I don't know if that would have been the
hmm
thing. I'm
no,
not sure those movies would have gotten made. Nightmare Before
right,
Christmas, all that stuff. I don't know if that stuff would have gotten made because,
yeah.
um, that's like it's just it's a whole thing. So it's like you kind of have to wonder like how different stuff really would be.
You know what? That's a lot of people have no one's really talked about that, but yeah, the legacy of it had it not existed.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about shameless plug, but I have a lot of people probably know I have a Instagram or a YouTube channel that talks about architecture
Hmm.
and stuff. And on the 100th anniversary, I posted about the architectural legacy of the Disney company and just how many. I mean, you talk about Disneyland. Disneyland inspired so many different people to develop. I mean, if you live in LA, you know the Grove and the brand and Americana.
Yeah.
Those were, or the Americana brand. Those were developed, and the guy who developed them was like, I was inspired by Disney. I mean, Disney was such a game changer for him to kind of think like, well, this is what people want. These kind of walkable spaces with,
Yeah.
themed architecture and stuff like that.
100%.
Movies certainly. I mean, people those characters have been big things. But I think above anything else is how many people have gone to Disneyland and been like, wow, I want to, and they see like animatronics and think, I want to be a robot engineer, you know, or mechanic, mechanical engineer or something like that, or went to Animal
Yeah.
Kingdom and saw those and thought, man, I could go into biology or zoology or whatever, I think that that's something that we can't even fathom. I mean, I know, we both have been inspired by this company, and
Yeah, a lot.
yeah, it's hard to even fathom. I mean, you know, you know, it's a great, it's one of those rare brands that kind of transcends the whole fact that I mean, we just mentioned it's a company, which yeah, it is, but it's a little bit more than that, I think.
Yeah,
And at
I'd
the
say
heart of
so.
it, it's always been that there's kind of a creative direction. It's not like a computer company where it's like, what's the next product? What's this? What's that? It's more like we know what our business is, and it's making stories. It's creating things that you've never seen before, and
Yeah,
if if you don't, you can't really lead that from a business perspective. Otherwise, you're not going to take risks, and that's what it's all been about. But
it's been a crazy ride, man.
it is. I hope it doesn't end in our lifetime.
No, I don't think it will.
Yeah.
As they said too in the at the end of that little trailer that they released yesterday, here's to another 100 years, because
Yeah.
I think it really will. Excuse me, burped. I think it really will transcend that 100 years, because it's definitely not slowing down anytime soon with the plans that they currently have. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I think even with all the problems they have, I think that the idea of what Disney is very strong, probably more
100%.
than any time, because it's
Yeah,
so established now. I mean, everyone knows what, Walt talked about it. It's quality wins all the time.
yeah,
So, yeah. It's incredible. I mean, I remember in when they did the 90th, and it was in D23. I think they mentioned, oh, it's the 90th anniversary. I was like, gosh, what's going to be like on the 100th? What's that going to be like? And it seems so far away, and now it's here.
yeah. And yeah, you got the 70th coming up too now.
Go for Disneyland, yeah.
Yeah, so
Which, jeez,
I mean, that'll be interesting. I think uh, we'll be here for the 100th of Disney
I hope so.
of Disneyland.
2055.
I think so. Yeah.
We'll be
So,
we'll be taking our grandkids, but yeah.
uh,
Oh man,
so we'll see. We'll see what
yeah.
that's like, and hopefully that doesn't change. Hopefully we still continue to love Disney up until we're dead, whenever that is.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah,
So
yeah. If I have too many Dole Whips and turkey legs, it might be sooner than.
yeah, 100%, right. So, but
I
yeah,
think I think yeah, I think you're right. It'll continue on. So, are we ready to put this one to bed? And
I think so.
yeah, alrighty. Well, everyone, for Armando, I'm Steve. Thanks for listening, and have a great week. We'll see you next time on the Way of Magic podcast.
Hey there, everyone. Thanks for watching this episode of the Way of Magic podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you like our content, don't forget to subscribe and like this episode, and don't forget to turn on notifications for when we upload.
And if you prefer to listen to this podcast instead, you can find the Way of Magic podcast on Amazon Music, Google Podcast, Spotify, and even Spotify for podcasters. Thanks for listening.